Nosotros tenemos un
We
país
have a
que se
country that is
caracteriza
pitifully
lastimosamente por
characterized by
ser
being currently
informal
informal.
actualmente.
When you see the Colombian countryside, we are seeing that there are figures, for example, that more than 80% of the people who work in the Colombian countryside are informal people. We from the flower sector are contributing to that formality within the agricultural, and what we are doing here is creating formality within the Colombian countryside. The sector that employs the most people per hectare, so we employ more than 14 people per hectare planted. My name is Andrea Layan. I am an agricultural engineer and I work as the director of the crop. We are located in the municipality of Sopo, Cundinamarca, in the Swasuk farm. Astromelia, cut flowers for export, are produced on this farm. In this place, it is basically where the entire production process of the Astromelia begins. We call the test greenhouse. Here all the seedlings arrive. We plant them and we begin the entire process of agronomic evaluation, productivity evaluation, phytosanitary evaluation, and basically this is where the decision comes out if it is planted commercially or definitely some variety does not serve us to meet the expectations and requirements of the market. This material that reaches us is a material that is supplied by breeder by companies who are the owners of the seedlings, this farm or the majority. Because all the farms that produce flowers simply rent this material, every year once the plants come into production you have to pay royalties for having this material here. This material is patented, this material, no, it cannot be replicated without their authorization, and here once we test the material, the breed is informed or that we are interested in planting more seedlings. And through them we can acquire all the material. We can also make seedlings here, but as I was saying with prior authorization, we can begin to have material that is more resistant to attack by pests and diseases and have better productivity. We at ASOCIOLFLORES, obviously affiliated with flower exporting companies, and we export to more than 100 countries internationally, that is to say that our market is international. We have a national market which we seek to increase day by day. This demand for flowers national level, but basically our markets at an international level. This entails, for example, since we were born or from a company born in the flower sector, it is consolidated as a purely formal company, because the international market also demands it. We from the floriculture sector always have and have had a policy of contributing to the national economy and also to the fulfillment of national regulations as such, and therefore we also have a policy that characterizes us, the floriculture sector, as a purely formal sector. That means formal means complying with those labor regulations that we have at the national level, such as compliance with salary policies and also with a payment of social security policies to collaborators. What does this imply for the national economy? That we, for example, at a national level, are employing more than 190,000 people. Here it should be clarified and it should be recognized that we have a direct contract with more than 100,000 people, who are the people who are working inside the companies, but we still comply and we contribute to the economy by creating another 90,000 jobs, which are jobs that are indirectly related to the flower sector. All the variables that we evaluate here are based on market requirements. This is where we look at how productive a variety is. We look for it to give us more than 100 stems per square meter per year. This is what we are looking for, so that the business is profitable, for a plant to be productive. We evaluate floral points. We evaluate how tall the stem is, how long, the diameter of the stem, the color, the size of the bell, the foliage, the color if it is an intense green, everything that our clients demand of us, in order for it to be a stem of excellent quality. All these variables are what we analyze before embarking on making the crop commercial. We currently have more than 50 varieties on the farm of all the colors.
Actualmente contamos con más de 50 variedades en la finca de todos los colores.
Planting here begins with the preparation of the land. We do it with a tractor. We base ourselves on conservation tillage or minimum tillage. It is a farm that has been producing flowers for more than 40 years, therefore we have to take great care of the environment, the soil. We use organic amendments, organic fertilizers, and many microorganisms that we produce right here on the farm. We have the privilege of having trained personnel, with a lot of experience, in the field of microbiology. This staff is dedicated to sampling throughout the farm, to see what we have, what native microbiology we have, and it begins to extract all this material, to replicate it in the laboratory, and we use these same microorganisms in the pre-sowing. We have the trichoderma, which is a beneficial fungus, a fungus that helps us to manage the pathogens at ground level, which was what they saw being applied during planting. We inoculated it here in a substrate and applied it here as NRI also. It helps us a lot to work it together with mycorrhizae. We do not use any chemicals at the time of sowing. We have seedlings of this type, with these characteristics, and this seedling that we take to each of the sites, which has previously been worked on with the amendments. The bed has been set up, the demarcation is made, the rutting is done, one more or less than 50 centimeters apart, in a staggered system and covered. Watering begins, and we wait approximately 18 weeks so that there is no longer an export-type production of stems. Logically, at the moment the seedling is planted, we already start with the entire process of monitoring, pest and disease control, nutrition control, and we begin its entire startup and development program. During the 18 weeks, it takes a series of tasks additional, so that the stems do not twist. Astromelia is a herbaceous variety that needs to be supported so that they do not twist. "65% of our population are women, who work in the flower sector, and what we as a flower sector also want is to highlight that work and claim that work that women have carried out in the flower sector. Really, that is what worries us, it is what moves us and what we want to do with these policies and with those gender equity programs that we are taking to the flower sector. is to vindicate and equally demonstrate to the Colombian population and the international population, that basically we are the second country flower exporter thanks to women. Thanks to women we are growing. It is one of the few sectors of which we can say that year after year, despite the pandemic, it has grown. We grew 5% in relation to sales of 2019, and now in 2021 we are proud to say that we have grown more than 20%. This not only means that the national economy behaves, but that we are carrying the formality of the field sector, of the agricultural sector, and we are contributing to the formality of the people. Who work with us. The Astromelia, unlike all other export-type cut flowers, has a peculiarity, and that is that 90% of its biomass is water. We can weigh a stem of Astromelia and it can weigh around 20 to 25 grams and can lose perfectly 20 grams that corresponds to water. It is a species that must be taken care of very much in terms of irrigation. We cannot fall short of water. Because it lives practically, it depends 100% on water. Although it has within its morphology, it produces some vacuoles in its roots, which are swollen roots. Then if you are succulents that keep them full of water precisely that at the moment when a water deficit may suddenly enter, it can have its reservists and not die, then yes, it is super important to maintain optimal water levels so that we are not going to dehydrate easily. Handling is particular because it requires a lot of care precisely because it is very delicate. The Astromelia is a species that requires a lot of water. Here on average we must be using a minimum of approximately 500 cubic meters in the dry weather season. We must be using it so that it does not go into hydric stress and additionally, we have to be oxygenating the soil a little, also to go digging so that there can be good hydraulic conductivity. The water moves very well inside the root and it can easily take in the water.
El agua.
One of the challenges that we are currently facing in Colombia at the national level is the issue of employability, and this is one of the challenges that we are facing not only in the flower sector, but in different areas, in different unions. We are also experiencing, and it is that the operational work has made it difficult to obtain labor. Unfortunately, it is not easy to find those people who want to carry out these tasks despite the fact that, for example, the flower growing sector is one of the sectors, as I was mentioning to you, that it is clearly formal, and we always seek to go the extra mile of that formality that Colombia, the state of Colombia, requires of us, but unfortunately there are difficulties that we are facing at the moment. We know that one of the problems at the national level is the issue that many young people in rural areas do not want or do not see their life project as being able to carry out their duties or can develop their life project within a company in the agricultural sector. An immense challenge for us, since obviously it is to be attractive to the youthful population of Colombia. The Astromelia is a particular species. It is a species that has a lot of water in its stem. The cut is done manually. We do not use scissors when the plant reaches more or less 18 weeks after being planted. Stems are taken that have already met certain characteristics. With quality criteria, the lady cutter identifies these characteristics, takes the stem of the upper third, with the right hand or with the left hand. Here for health reasons we prefer that you use both hands in this process so that you do not have lesions on the arms. With one hand they take the upper third, with the other the middle third of the stem. They exert 2 little tugs upwards and detach the stem from the rhizome. At that same moment they peel the foliage a little, so that the stem can already be started to list, and bring it to the table and start assembling their bouquets of 10 stems and bonchar. You have to be very careful. These are export type stems, which should bear almost zero abuse, no mechanical damage. As I told you, it is a herbaceous plant that has a lot of water. The tissue is very turgid, crispy, and in this process they should have a lot of be careful so that it is not decapitated, so that it is not mistreated, the leaves breaking and thus losing the aesthetic value of the stem. Here they complete and fill the tubs with stems of the same degree of quality. They begin to make a pre-selection, that the bouquet that is as uniform as possible. They begin to assemble by 10 stems. They organize it, they level it, they measure it, they cut it with a guillotine, they put a rubber on it and they put the cap on it. They pack it in these cardboard containers, and here comes a transporter and finally takes it to the post-harvest room. We are in the post-harvest area, where we receive the flower at the reception and then we distribute it in 2 sections. One area of treatment with cap and the other area of perfection. We receive 7,000 to 8,000 stems daily, which are processed in the same day. We go through the cap area. It is our brand, where we set up at each table. We make a respective makeup to the flower as such. We remove the non-decorative part of the flower, then each girl places it in a tub to hydrate. Then we go to the zone of perfection. It is the flower of best quality. It is the flower where we proceed to enmay it individually with its respective makeup. Then the bouquet is assembled. The cap is placed on it, and then we go to the zone of hydration, to the respective tub. After doing this process, each girl in each of her places goes to some tubs, and then we go to a packing area, where it will go respectively. In each box we have various types of packaging. We have boxes forth, we have tobacco boxes, and we have pom-pom boxes. Each of them is made up of a number of bouquets. For example, the fourth goes for 14 or 18. Then we go to a stripping area, and then a label where in the box for outside is identified that contains each CA inside. Then we go to the cold room area, where we give it the respective pre-cooler. It consists more or less of injecting cold air and removing heat. That is an average of 40 minutes to an hour. It comes to the estimation area where he is going to place the box completely, and we are waiting for the loading area, where we load the respective truck that goes directly to the airport. After we make the respective boarding, via the airport, we last from here to there to Bogota more or less 2 hours. Depending on the destination there are different days. For example, if it is the United States, 2 days, 3 days. If it is to Canada 3 or 4 days. If it's to Europe 2 or 3 days. If we go to Russia it's approximately 8 days. Because there are air zones and land zones. More or less the same for Australia and Japan. We are guaranteeing that since the person receives the flower and it is placed in a vase, 15 days of durability in the vase. We have the opportunity to offer work to the communities, but in one way or another we are also looking to project some areas in which you can also grow within the flower sector. You can start as a farm operator but finally in the company. The companies in some other way they are so big that they also allow you to grow. A challenge that we have here is not only to indicate that you can grow and that you can project. Your life project in a company is worth the redundancy, but that you can also grow and you can bring well-being to your families. I think that is one of our challenges to demonstrate what are the benefits of formality towards the youth populations of Colombia.
Creo que ese es uno de los retos nuestros de demostrar cuáles son los beneficios de la formalidad hacia las poblaciones jóvenes de Colombia.